billowing into the crowd. A lot of uncertainty right now as to what is happening. You can see there are choppers. I believe that could be a police helicopter that is... Oh!
Wow.
We just saw...
Oh, my goodness. You're looking at another live picture right now. Oh, my goodness.
Of what I believe was a plane that just hit
another plane. This
Tower
does not
2.
look like an accident of any kind at this point. Another plane has hit Tower 2, the Twin Towers. You hate to say the words, but what comes to mind right now, terrorist attack. That is what it looks like at this point. Haven't seen anything like this ever before develop on live television in New York.
Lynn, an unbelievable sight. We saw Tower 1, a plane allegedly crashing, obviously crashing into Tower 1. And just moments ago, we saw another plane crashing into Tower 2. You can see that it is on fire.
Yes.
Midway through the building,
both
you can see it's on
right
fire.
Now. Yes.
And you can see the black... Amazing. I'm speechless at this moment.
I think anybody watching has to be. We remember the last incident in the Twin Towers.
That was in February of 1993 when a car bomb at the World Trade Center in New York City exploded, killing 6 people, injuring...
And that was at the base.
That was at the base, injuring thousands, causing extensive damage. You know, the FBI arrested 4 radical Muslims who were convicted in 1994. And
now we have this, what you see before your very eyes right here.
What happened?
John, I think it's important to keep in mind this morning that just getting information out is a difficult thing at this time because there are people running through the streets with their cell phones in hand, many like myself, who are unable to actually get through on the cell system. It is overloaded, and the only way for most people to communicate right now is to find a regular telephone line because they're just literally thousands of people streaming through the streets, all of them not knowing what to do or what has happened here.
Right. All right, David Lee Miller, thanks very much. Want to bring into the discussion William Daley. He is a former FBI agent. Bill, there are reports that the FBI is looking into the possibility of a plane hijacking. When you look at these buildings are the symbols of capitalism to enemies of America, aren't they?
Absolutely, John. I mean, these have, as we know, were the target of a terrorist attack in this last decade. And by comparison, that explosion, as horrific as it was, certainly pales in respect to what we see happening here today. Just the thought that, when I first heard the reports, by the way, and I heard that a plane had hit the top of the World Trade Center, I thought perhaps it was something that was gone awry, a small plane lost control. Certainly the worst fears of anyone in law enforcement and security is someone directly going after a building, particularly the World Trade Center. Then just a few minutes later, another plane intentionally flying into the World Trade Center just dramatizes the fact that we have a serious, I believe, a terrorist incident here. And I believe that something has happened that has caused these planes to be taken or be commandeered.
We all shared in that hope, Bill, in the early going. In fact, one of our early guests from a former National Transportation Safety Board investigator was saying, hey, this could have been a pilot who was temporarily disoriented, maybe blinded by the morning sun. It has happened before. A skyscraper, the Empire State Building, was hit back in 1945 by an Army bomber. But that was in the fog. This was on a bright, clear morning. And when we saw that second plane slam into the second tower intentionally, quite clearly, you got to believe this is a terrorist attack. It doesn't seem like there would be 2 suicidal pilots out there who just wanted to, you know, fly their planes into these buildings for whatever reason. A suicidal person might want to do that. Harvey Kushner is on the line with us. He's a frequent guest of ours and a terrorism expert. Harvey, is it too early to speculate about suspects? I don't want to bring up memories of the Oklahoma City bombing when people were talking about Middle Eastern terrorists.
Yeah, obviously it's too early to bring that up. Who might be responsible if, in fact, it is terrorism? I mean, you know, look, John, I couldn't conjure up a story like this. I couldn't... If I wrote a script like this with 2 planes, I believe there were 2, go into the Trade Center on a clear day like this, you know, somebody laugh at me and say this is beyond bizarre. So one thinks only that this could be the most horrifically planned incident, you know, in the annals of terrorism against the United States. Think about it. I mean, you look outside the Fox studios, look how clear it is. I mean, how could you miss the trade towers? I mean, not just 1, but 2 planes?
Well, and it brings to mind You know, everybody hates those metal detectors at airports, and everybody makes passing through them almost a joke these days. But clearly, it seems that something is going to change. I guess there are many questions left to be answered about these two planes. It is certainly possible that some terrorist group somewhere bought a couple of small, relative...
This is going to be a day that's going to live in infamy. And, you know, it's going to cause changes in terms of, if it turns out to terrorism, in terms of security like this country has never seen before. And if it just happens to be an accident, it's going to change FAA and NTSB and the whole airline industry and flight patterns over New York, especially if it's a small craft involved or if it's a 737.
I think it's way beyond calling this an accident at this point, Harvey. But
well, I'm trying to be incendiary. You know,
right?
I recall, I'm old enough, unfortunately, to recall the incidents in which people from Middle Eastern descent were blamed for the Oklahoma City right out front. You remember that?
Right, I do,
and certainly,
and we
you know,
want to stay away from that.
Which occurred with TWA 800 as well.
Right.
But to me, as I said to you, I couldn't conjure up a story like this, John, and I'm sure you've covered news throughout the world. This is something that is just...
This is absolutely
horrific. It's literally
horrific.
put goosebumps. For a terrorism guy like myself, it's put goosebumps on my body.
We're all in that same situation. Harvey, thanks very much. Harvey Kushner is a terrorism expert. We want to go to Dr.
Today we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act. Terrorism against our nation will not stand. And now, if you join me in a moment of silence. May God bless the victims, their families, and America. Thank you very much.
Evident that this is a terrorist-related attack. And among the key targets, key people that they're looking at is Osama bin Laden. It was just last Friday that the U.S. State Department put out a worldwide caution to American citizens traveling abroad and also to U.S. government facilities. And they said that terrorism knows no limits, whether it's on U.S. soil or outside. So they're certainly looking at that as a possibility.
The first crash, 18 minutes later, a second plane went in. And I would imagine we certainly don't want to speculate at this point, but questions immediately arise as to some type of navigational material or electronics that perhaps went awry that would cause two planes within 18 minutes.
This is war. There's no question about it. These are deliberate attacks.
Well, let's certainly not go there. It's 9:12. We don't know anything more than what we can see right now. Those are flames. Those are smoke. Both twin towers engulfed at the top. One fuselage we thought had exploded after sticking inside one of the twin towers. Then we come to find out after looking at videotape that you have seen here several times that a second plane has hit the other twin tower. Both twin towers in New York City right now fully engulfed from the top floors up, smoke looming. I would certainly hope at some time, folks, we can go to John Del Giorno because John knows a lot about flight. Okay, I'm just being told that our electronic gear that transports John's voice signal is located at the top of the World Trade Center. So that's going to be a problem getting to John. If John wants to feed us any information through our producer's desk via phone, certainly, John, I could use the help here on your knowledge of flight. Information that we have right now, that is certainly speculation, but it is all that we know, is that two planes have made contact, one with the North Tower, one with the South Tower. We don't know how many people are injured at this point. We know that fire and medical personnel are on the scene. We know that this is probably one of the worst tragedies, certainly, that New York City has seen since perhaps the World Trade Center bombing. We know nothing about whether the people got out of the second tower before the second bit of contact. Dr. J, can you add anything from what you see, sir?